Good morning, Tim Unkert here, and in this video we're going to make a very basic JavaScript program where we can increment and decrement a number. So if I click +1, the number goes up. If I click -1, the number goes down. It'll go negative if I want. I can go positive as I click it, So we're going to create this program, and this is going to give you some basic JavaScript concepts. And hopefully you'll learn something from it. All right, so I'm going to open a text editor. That's all you need. So the one I'm using is CodePad right now. And I'm going to close this out. And I'm going to create a new HTML5 document. And I'm going to save that in a new folder. And the folder is going to be I'm going to create a new folder. Let's call it basic JavaScript counter. Okay. And then I'm going to save it as index.html. Okay. And I'm also going to have a JavaScript file. And let me just clear the stuff out. I'm going to save that as, you can save it whatever you want to name it, but I'm going to save it as main.js. You could save it as index.js, script.js. It doesn't matter. You just got to remember the name when you hook it in. So I'm going to hook in this JavaScript down here. Just type script source equals main.js. So the path to the file. And I've got it hooked in. To check that I've got it hooked in, I can console.log, let's say hello world, which is something they always do. People always do in tutorials like this one. Anyways, and then we're going to go to our basic JavaScript counter and just open a file, and you won't see anything. But if we go to more tools here, developer tools, I'm using Chrome browser, you'll see that we have this console log of hello world. Let's make this a bit bigger. Okay, the console is not going to get bigger, I don't think. I don't think I can zoom in on this, but so you'll see hello world here. Okay, so we don't have anything in our file just yet. So we're going to go back to our index.html file, and we're going to create two buttons. The first one, the button is going to have an ID of increment. And in the button, I'll just have like +1. And then the next one is going to have an ID of decrement. And I'm going to have -1 there. And then we're going to have I'll just do a paragraph, and we'll have an ID of counter. Okay. And we're going to start at 0. Okay. All right, so I've got those three components. If I go back and I refresh the page, we see this +1, this -1, and the counter at 0. But they don't do anything if you click on them. So we have to add some functionality. So if we go to the JavaScript, now I'm not going to do anything with functions. We're going to get rid of this hello world. We don't need this. First thing, let's declare a variable that we're going to use for the counter. I'm going to say let. That means I can change it throughout. So let x equals 0, which is where we start at. Now I'm going to declare another type of variable, which we call const. That's going to be something that I just declare once. So I'm going to say const increment, and that's going to equal the document. And I'm going to use a thing in JavaScript where you say get element by ID, and this is going to get the element by the HTML ID that we pass into here, which is going to be increment. And then I'm going to end the line with a semicolon. The reason why I'm doing this is because we've given the button ID here increment. So we're going to use that. If I said incremented, I would have to type, incremented here. Okay. I'm going to save. Let me just save this on this file. Okay, we're also going to have a constant for decrement. And I'm spacing it in between here just so you can see it, but you don't have to do that. And we're going to say same thing, document.get element by ID, And then we're going to pick this ID of decrement here. Okay. So I'm going to say decrement. And then we're going to add 2 event listeners to these variables. So I'm going to say increment dot add event listener. And we're going to listen for a click when the user clicks on it. And when it happens, we're going to pass an anonymous function. And so we write the function in here, and we're going to say that we're going to increase x by 1. And the way I do that is I say x plus equals 1. Okay. And then I want the inner text of, I also want to have a variable for this. So I'm going to go back up here and make a type const for the counter. And we're going to have document. We're going to use document.getElement. Now, there's other ways besides getElement by ID. There is query selector, and then query selector all, and then specifying the index. But that's a different topic for a different day. So, all right. So we're going to, since we have IDs for all of these, it's easier to just use IDs. GetElement by ID. So I'm going to say counter in here. Okay. And so we have this variable counter. So what we're going to do with counter is we are going to change the inner text to the variable x, whatever x is. So I'm using a template literal here because you could include text in there along with the variable. I kind of like using template literals. There are different ways to do it, but use these backticks here, here, and here. And I'll put a semicolon at the end of that. And we'll go here and we'll refresh the page. And so there's an error at 3. Let's see. Oh, I typed element. Sorry about that. So that's element. Apparently I wasn't typing that well today. Element. All right. Anyways. All right. So let's refresh now. And we see the errors go away. Now, if I click this, it starts to increase. So nice. Okay. But if I click this, it's not decreasing because we haven't done anything with this yet. So we have to add an event listener for this. All right. So I'm going to target the decrement variable. So I'm going to say decrement.add event listener. And we'll do a listen for a click. And we'll pass in an anonymous function. And we'll say this time we want to reduce x. So I'm going to, instead of x plus equals 1, I'm going to write x minus equals 1. And then we're going to target the inner text of the counter. So counter inner text is going to equal the variable x again. Okay. And same way with the template literal that we used before. All right, so let's refresh. And so when we refresh, it goes back to 0, right? So we're going to add 1 here, then subtract 1. We can click it. I'm clicking this, going up, going down, and our counter works. Okay, and that's basically all there is to it, to set up a simple counter using index.html and a JavaScript page linked in. And I hope that helped, and I hope you learned something from this video. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications, as it really helps the channel grow and encourages me to make more content like this. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. Bye.